Welcome back to Coast View. I really enjoyed that conversation with Tiffany Murdoch, the CEO of Singing River Health System. And as I reflect on that, the relationships that I have with the medical community, as a publisher, it was always good. Always had a good relationship with the medical community, but I think COVID and this show has brought me closer to them in ways that I would have never imagined. My conversations with Kent Nico and other doctors at Memorial, and the incredible number of times that Lee Bond joined me here on Coast View before he moved on from Singing River Health System, and then the opportunity to visit with Tiffany to talk about the latest developments at Singing River Health System. I really enjoy that. I can't tell you, it's probably not a more important mechanism within a community than the health community, than the health care that people get. And we're lucky here in coastal Mississippi. We got some fine hospitals and a lot of dedicated people and some great leadership. And I'm privileged to have the opportunity to share those people with you. Okay, so now let's shift gears. I'm absolutely delighted now to welcome my friend Brian Lamar. He's in public affairs. There's a lot of different names that you could give him, but he's kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to communicating what's happening at the base to various media outlets. And he and I connected really quickly after I became the new person for this time frame about 2.5 years ago and launched Coast Vue. But it's been a pleasure getting to know him. He's going to leave us, unfortunately, soon, headed to Japan. We're going to talk more about that. We're going to actually stay in touch with him while he's in Japan. You'll understand more about why I think we should do that here in just a second. But without any further ado, let me welcome my friend Brian Lamar to Coast View. How you doing, man?
Hey, Ricky, thanks for having me on the air. I've been on here a couple of times throughout the years, and previous to your show as well. The late Kip Gregory had a relationship with that show as well. I was looking back in my memories on Facebook and everything else, and I've actually been on the coast for 10 years now doing public affairs for either Keesler or the CB base. And it's funny. I'm looking at my picture right now as I talk to you online, and I look so much older than I did when I started here 10 years ago.
Well, I had to say, of course, again, I worked in media for most of my career as a publisher of a newspaper or a president of a media company the last 15, 16 years of my career. And so I came in touch with a lot of people like you who were very proactive in communicating with us and making sure we know what was happening and whatever. But, I'll be honest with you, you're one of the best I've ever dealt with because I think it was like the first week, really, and you came into the lobby of the radio station when we were doing the show from the radio station for SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast, and you had someone with you, and you introduced yourself, and you were extraordinarily proactive, and you explained the relationship you had with Kip, and that you would be a great conduit for me into the CB community. And man, it really played out that way. It's incredible how well the relationship has worked, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I've always been. I have a mantra actually. Every time I go somewhere for the Department of Defense, and although I've only been on the Mississippi Gulf Coast for a decade now, and I've been doing public affairs for 24 or 25 years. Actually, this month is 25 years, and I have a mantra everywhere I've been. When I go to a new community, whether it's Columbia, South Carolina, Augusta, Georgia, even Germany, places like that. It was a little bit different in Afghanistan and Iraq, but when I go to a new community, my mantra is that within a year of working there as a public relations type person, public affairs, I don't want to have to be introduced when I walk into a room. And I feel like that opens up so many ways for me to kind of self-metric myself if I'm doing a good job or not. There's different ways to do public affairs, but the very proactive way of community relations is to make sure that I engage within that first year, just engage as hard as I possibly can. So by the time I'm at the end of that year, I walk into a room and everybody just goes, "Oh, hey, Norm," if I cheers.
Well, it's really worked. It's really worked, and it's supported the goal that I have. I've wanted to get into the community of first responders by getting to know fire chiefs and police chiefs better, and the city leadership arena with getting to know the mayors better and boards of supervisors. And as you know, I mean, a really serious area for me that I want to stay in touch with and want to tell the story of is the important role the military has played here in coastal Mississippi. And the CBs, in a way, Keesler's right there. You see them all the time, and people who are on the boat see, Coast Guard all the time. But the CBs, most of their big work is being done out of Rota, Spain, or over in the Pacific. They don't necessarily see a lot of training happens here. A lot goes on at the CB base, but a lot of people don't necessarily know what that is. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And I've really wanted to tell that story. And frankly, we used to publish the CB Courier at the Sun Herald. I mean, I've always had this knowledge of how important it is, but this show, and because of you and the people that you've introduced me to, I have so much a better feel for it today than I did before, and so much more appreciation for it today than I did before. And I owe that to you.
So if I had my druthers in this job, I would rename. This is going to be unpopular. I probably get fussed at a little bit for even saying this, but I would rather the what people know as the CB base, Naval Construction Battalion Center, be renamed completely to just Naval Station Gulfport or Naval Station Coastal Mississippi, something like that, because there are so many people on this base, and I've tried to make sure that I mixed it in with your show a lot, and with WXXV and WLOX and all the other media partners that are out there doing this job. Gazebo Gazette, can't forget them. They've been great to us. But making sure that I'm highlighting also the non-CB missions that go on here. We've got we just did a big ribbon cutting on a new barracks that we call it the ECS barracks, and it's the Expeditionary Combat School that we have on the base, where anybody that's going to be in an expeditionary type of unit going out in harm's way in any way, they come through this school, and so we train thousands of people in life-saving skills and self-care buddy aid and land nav and range stuff, going out and shoot, marksmanship, all that stuff. We've got so many different missions. We've got like a naval meteorology type mission on the base, all kind of cargo handling type missions, and those guys kind of get forgotten, and I try to keep highlighting, but it's hard when the local community just knows as Naval Construction Battalion Center. It's easier to say, it rolls off the tongue, CB base. And so that's been one of my bigger challenges while being the public affairs officer. And I want to thank your show and you, Ricky, is that there's been so many times that we've been able to highlight the people who are not necessarily CBs, but are maybe in a support role to the CBs or a support role to another mission altogether.
Yeah, to me, that's been the fun part. I mean, you would think the commander you'd want to talk to him, and then your fire chief, you would think that's someone you want to talk to, and other disciplines that you talk to. But I mean, conversations like with Sarah Server, for example, about the her culinary experience, and to see that she, worked in the White House serving the President of the United States food for 2 years, and then came here to work at the CB base. I love telling those stories, and I mean, it's just incredible. It's people like Sarah, who when they go on from the CBs or the Navy or whatever they're involved in, it's going to be fun to watch them because they're so well prepared for the real world. They're going to go and do amazing things with their lives. And here's the other thing, and I say it all the time on the show. You well know that, but a lot of them choose to live here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and they may go get stationed all around the world, but they still come back here because there's something about this place that hooks them, and that's very special about here, isn't it?
Yeah, so I love this place, and the only reason I'm leaving, the only reason I'm leaving is because I've got a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old, two boys that all they know pretty much is South Mississippi, and I've been all over the world, and the reason why I've been all over the world is because I left home after high school, and I joined the Army, and I saw the world, and I saw so many different cultures and so many different places. I still call. North Alabama, my home, the Tennessee Valley, my home. I go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that stuff to go see the folks and my sister and nieces and nephews and all that. But coastal Mississippi, I sometimes I think of it as my forever home because I do have a plan to come right back here when I'm done overseas. But yeah, going to Japan in a few weeks is just an opportunity of a lifetime for me to take my family there.
When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about that. I think it's such a bold decision. I love the decision. And my kids have had opportunities to see the world as well. Thank God, not because of my career, but just because we made it a point that they travel a lot, when they were younger, and they've been all over. One son spent some time in Japan, for a matter of fact. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more. What's he going to be doing in Japan, and how are we going to stay in touch with him once he gets there? We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to Coast Vue. I love that we're having the opportunity to spend some time with my friend Brian Lamar, who is really he's my contact at Naval Construction Battalion Center. He's the guy who identifies these incredible guests that I have an opportunity to have on the show. And I've gotten to know him better, and I respect him. And I really respect the fact that you have chosen to bring your boys to Japan. My son Jordan, while he was at the University of Southern Mississippi, did a learning abroad experience in Japan. And we were recently in Dominican Republic, the whole family. And while we were there, Jordan said, man, I can't wait to bring my family back to Japan just because the cultural experience was so significant. I have another son, incidentally, who's been Peru and up in Ecuador, up the Amazon, all over Europe. He lived in Spain to learn Spanish and all of that before he was like 21. Now he lives in New York. So the problem with introducing your kids to the world is they may not choose to come home, but that's just the price you pay for making them more worldly and more able to understand the world as it is today. And I'm proud of you for making that decision.
So it was not a light decision. It was for me. It probably seems like from the outside it was kind of a light touch on making that decision. My wife. Took a little convincing. She loves the Mississippi Gulf Coast so much that she couldn't imagine leaving. When I told her the way the Department of Defense works, where I get return rights right back to this job in 5 years when I'm done, or up to 5 years. I can come back in 2 years, but I got up to 5 years, and I got return rights back to the base, and I have a job. So that anchors me back here. That made her feel better. So I'm kind of hand holding my kids to Japan because they're still young and they haven't found that too many roots that they can't sever for a little bit. But my wife, I kind of I felt like at first I was kind of dragging her, but once she got on board, it's been great. Like applied for jobs and got hired pretty much right away, and we're excited. So the thing that we're looking forward to the most, like I said, is the kids are still young. They still their brains they're malleable. They can absorb that language and that culture a lot better than we can at our age.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to bring them back with these experiences, and then maybe an extra paragraph on a college application essay that says something about them as a character, being worldly traveled.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. What are you going to do there? Tell the listeners what you're going to do.
So I'm going to be doing kind of a liaison job. It's with the Army. I'm switching back over to the Army, back to what I originally started as. I went Army to Air Force to Navy, and now I'm back to Army. It's at Torrey Station with the 10th Support Group in Okinawa. And so just kind of community relations, media relations, liaison type work. So it's kind of right up my alley. Things that I've done in the past, things I've done here in a way. But I'm just looking forward to being able to get out there and finding new challenges working in Japan.
Well, you sent me a picture of where you're going to live. It turns out you found a really cool spot, didn't you?
Well, we hope. There's a few houses that are. Actually, I was surprised. The houses are massive. They look like palaces, and they're kind of that part of Japan. They know that Americans are trying to live there, and the houses are geared toward Americans. But I mean, the house that I'm looking at right now in Okinawa that I'm hoping to get into when I get there in a couple weeks is bigger than my house in Long Beach. So I wasn't expecting that. You think of Japan, as an untraveled person to Japan. You think of Japan and you think of, oh, they live in kind of like smaller dwellings, and so I was prepared for that, to downsize my furniture and stuff, but it doesn't look like I'm going to have to.
So you get there, your kids are going to go to school. So do they have local school districts similar to America, or is it different?
So we have that's been a debate with me and my wife Courtney to put them either in a like an outside school, Japanese school, or kind of sink or swim, learn the language, kids, but or put them in a Department of Defense school. And so we have some flexibility there, but we're going to get there and right off the bat start doing the research on that. But it looks like we're going to try to do like a hybrid school where they're exposed to Japanese.
Awesome! What a great! I mean, the more the merrier. The more the merrier. It's hard. When my wife Ann and I went to visit my son Justin in Madrid, I was amazed at how many people didn't speak English in Madrid. I mean, it's not a second language for most people. It's a Spanish-speaking country for the most part, and it's hard to go into. I had a couple of years of Spanish, and I didn't remember much. My son really immersed himself. By the time we got there, he could get around and with the language a bit. So when we were with him, we felt pretty comfortable. When we were not with him, it was really difficult. And you're right. I mean, the younger you are, the more able you can sort of understand dialects and languages. In Japan and England, Japanese and English are pretty far apart, and so there's there's a lot to pay attention to there. But you're going to be this relationship between Coast Vue and Naval Construction Battalion Center is going to be in good shape. You got a good guy coming in behind you. I look forward to him. He won't be you, but maybe he'll establish his own sense of worth to this show. I hope he does, because the eyes and ears that you've given us into that organization has been absolutely incredible. Anyway, we'll stay in touch with you until you get out of here, but good luck to you, my friend.
Okay, good luck to you guys as well, and thank you all for the lasting friendships.
You bet. I look forward to our first show when you get to Japan. We'll stay in. That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun. This has been Brian Lamar from the Naval Construction Battalion Center. Thank you, Brian. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.